I'm really excited to introduce Zack Surmacz, the weatherization coordinator with the Community Energy Project. Community Energy Project is based in Portland, Oregon, and they provide free home services focused on safety, health, and energy efficiency. They provide free community education and supplies, as well as direct home energy upgrades and repairs. All of their services are made possible by partnerships with community members and service organizations, utilities, corporations, foundations, and government agencies. Zack, we're thrilled to have your expertise here. And again, if as he's talking questions arise, please use the Q&A function and we'll work to get to as many as possible once our speakers are done. So take it away, Zack.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to pull up my screen and make sure that everyone can see this okay. Johanna, do you mind giving me a thumbs up? You can see that? Okay, awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. I'm just so grateful to be here. I know there are a lot of webinars happening, every day. So you taking time out of your day to listen in, it just means a lot. And I want to hopefully we can share some things that are helpful to you in your daily lives as you try to reduce your carbon footprint, stay warm, reduce your electricity bills, and participate in the environmental movement. And just thank you to Environment Oregon and USPIRG and all these, wonderful organizations and folks that are doing stuff like this every single day and working hard to help our environment. So I'm going to get started. My name is Zack Surmacz. I work at Community Energy Project. I've been here for almost 2 years now and just been helping underrepresented, underserved families in the Portland area reduce their electricity bills, stay warm, and get signed up for utility discount programs and clean energy programs. So very, very means a lot to me to do the work that we do. And it seems like it's really helping a lot of families. So this is the weatherization tips that I usually provide out in the community at schools and other community centers. Like Joanna was saying, we're a nonprofit. All of our programs are free. We're funded by the city or the utilities, some county funding, just to provide our services. And I did see a couple questions in the chat, so I'll try to address those as I go through here. But we do classes out in the community. So in the last 9 months, did it winter and summer classes. I did about 200 classes in the community, some virtual, some in person. We've served about 1,000 families. So you can do the math. Sometimes it's me with just 5 people in a class, but that's still fun. Today's a little bit busier than some of my classes, so I appreciate that. We do the weatherization classes, other stuff. And then we all, like we were saying earlier, we do direct home services. So low income homeowners in the Portland area can get a free home audit, home energy scores, and then we can do scopes of work and then do those safety repairs and energy upgrades in their attics, in their basements, in their walls, insulation, new appliances. So we just do a lot of great work all for free in the community, which makes me really proud to do work for this organization. We've been in Portland for 40 years, but so I've only been here 2 years. So this is the kit of materials that we give out. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's about all of this you can find for under $200 at your local hardware store, Home Depot, online and Amazon. It is just like DIY weatherization materials to really stop drafts, keep the heat inside your home, and start on some of these energy efficiency things. We've done up to like $40,000 worth of work inside homes here in Portland. But this is this class where everyone who comes to a class gets something to take home, and so we kind of try to make it as easy and accessible as possible, and some things that people can actually take home and use right away. And I realize I have 30 minutes, so I might have to move a little quicker. This presentation is pretty easy to follow. It's a lot of pictures, and I'm a fan of pictures. We're going to talk about home heating, saving money, saving energy, weatherization, some mold stuff. As folks at Environment Oregon, Environment America, all of us can probably agree that the climate crisis is very real and it's happening right now. And I think we all, as citizens and humans on this planet, have a responsibility to share the resources and reduce the demand that we have on some of our resources. So clean energy programs, reducing our carbon footprint are all steps we can take. So weatherization in your home. Depending on what climate you're in, I know there's probably folks all across the country here, but definitely for in Oregon, we try to tell folks that the highest part of your bill is probably heating or cooling your spaces. I don't even have AC in my apartment. So in the summer, my bill's like $15. But that's also because I just don't turn on the lights, but that's my own thing. But water heating, appliances and lights, they kind of add up to the rest of your bill. So if your bill is $100, you can kind of do the math, 34, 30, and then these other things add up. We try to tell folks, especially folks on limited incomes who, are parents or, seniors or folks with disabilities. Like we just talk to a lot of folks that don't have that much money. So we try to tell them that small little steps, small changes can have big impacts when they are, added together. So we're going to make it around this circle today to show how small changes can have some big impacts. Just to kind of get grounded in why we do what we do, weatherization means basically protecting your home from extreme weather, especially cold weather. But now we're talking about summer weatherization because there's been such extreme heat, especially in the Northwest. Energy efficiency, there's a couple of different ways to think about it. You can think about it in cost, like how much are you spending for how much energy you're getting. I like to think of it as just like making a few changes about your lifestyle and your habits to reduce energy use and save money. I'm not telling anyone to go and live in a cave and never turn on lights ever again. So don't worry, nobody's going to have to go and move to a cave anytime soon. But why we give so many strategies is because, it's kind of like a mix and match and pick what works for you, but maybe something you just have to do once, like change the water temperature on your water heater. You never have to touch it again, and you're going to start saving money every single month, for the foreseeable future. Other things might be like habit changes that something that you have to think about a little more frequently. This may sound simple, but we just remind folks to heat your body before your space. If you were wearing sweaters instead of t-shirts around the house, you might not have to set your thermostat to 75 degrees. Maybe 68 or 70 is much more comfortable, which will be better for your wallet and better for your home furnace in the long run. Zach has bad voice transmission. Are you all hearing me okay?
It's coming okay on my end. So
okay. Oh, maybe that was someone. Okay. I was like, let me just check these questions really quickly. And then I saw that. I was like, oh my gosh, I hope people can hear me. Okay. Cool. So I'm glad you can hear me. We're going to talk about two different types of heating spaces, and that person who couldn't hear me, I hope maybe that's your end. But I'm glad my end is working. So central or zonal heating, two very common types. Usually central is in a home and zonal heating is in an apartment. Like I live in an apartment, I have zonal heating. So I'll talk about both quickly here. Central heating works like a system. You're probably going to be sucking in cold air through your air return. It's going to be heated up in the furnace, whether it's oil, gas, or electric, and then it's going to be sent back out into your home through the vents or the registers. Like I said before, you can take control of this system. And there's a lot of data that shows keeping your temperature between 65 and 68 will not only feel comfortable when it's really cold outside, but is just like a really steady and efficient temperature for your furnace to save money and to keep your home comfortable. You can turn it down when you're sleeping, which is good as well. And this is as opposed to some folks who are just like turning it on and then off and then trying to heat up the whole home, which can just be more expensive in the long run and cycle your furnace many more times, which is not really great. You want it to just kind of be working steadily through the winter. You also want to check your thermostat accuracy. So if you're setting this at 65, but your thermostat's not accurate and it's trying to heat your home to 70 or it's still feeling cold, maybe your thermostat's not accurate. And that means you would have to tune your furnace. And it's just like your car, you have to change your oil, every few thousand miles, which happens every like year or two, right? Depending on how much you drive, but your furnace, probably every year or two, it's good to just do a free inspection. At least in Oregon, they do a lot of the gas utilities provide free inspections, but then it'll cost money to actually tune it. But something to think about. Obviously, if you have a central furnace, you are probably changing your filters. A good rule of thumb with your filter is if you pull it out and you can't see light coming through your filter, it's probably dirty and should be replaced, because then you're going to have poor air quality in the home. It's going to be harder for your furnace to cycle air through a dirty filter. This is just a fun picture of what happens if you don't change your filter. Maybe not a fun picture, but warning, I guess. There's also reusable filters that you can buy at Walmart or Home Depot. You just have to clean these, let them dry, and then put them back in if you don't want to throw out a bunch of paper filters all the time. And then how does placement of thermostat affect things? That's a good question. Yeah, the thermostat, should be in the central room, shouldn't be too close to windows, or next to it. If you have a supplemental heater, like a zonal heater, and that turns on, you shouldn't have a thermostat like too close to that. You want it to be in the central part of the house, where it's kind of getting an accurate reading of the home. We're going to get to windows and doors in just a moment. So thank you for all the questions. And we'll get to windows and doors like towards the end of this presentation. So in about like 10 minutes, then I'll be done. Just for cold air return and heating vents, just this last like 2 slides on the central heater. You don't want to have furniture blocking these parts of the system, these vents, or dust buildup, because so moving furniture away, you can pull off the panel here and vacuum, just so that air is moving, steadily through the system. Of course, some cold air returns are like on your ceiling, so you probably don't have to worry about furniture blocking that. And then I showed this aluminum foil tape. This is like the coolest stuff ever. It seals leaky ducts. Why this is important is duct systems can account for about 30% of the heat loss in your home, especially if they are moving through uninsulated spaces or spaces that are not meant to be heated. If there's cracks or gaps or disconnections in your ducts, all that money that you're spending to try to move either hot air or cold air through your home is just going to be leaking out your ducts. So this stuff seals that up. We put these slides here in the transition from central to zonal heating because ductless heat pumps, which in the IRA, there's going to be incentives for about $8,000 for these, which can get you 2 of these heads right here. One of these ductless heat pump heads can be about $4,000. Why it's so important to transition to these is because they're 300% more efficient than a typical heater or cooler. They do both. So in the summer, you can get AC out of your ductless heat pump. In the winter, you can get heat. So maybe Shanika will talk about these and a little bit more about what these are, but installing these is very easy. They are ductless. It's just a refrigerant line that goes outside. There's 2 parts. So you've probably seen these in homes that sit outside, sucks the either warm air, from outside in and heats up your home, or it pushes cold air, that pushes hot air out to cool your home off. But these are really, really amazing systems, and the US is just really expanding the amount of installations happening. And here in Portland, we're doing some of these for free inside homes. Okay, cool. Let's go to, we're moving around the circle, talking about energy efficiency and saving money and some quick tips and tricks for folks with zonal heating, which is me in a little apartment here in Portland. All I have is a zonal heater. My favorite tip that I've started to use since living here and getting through the cold weather is to really close doors between the zones or the rooms of your apartment or your home, because a zonal heater is really meant to just heat individual zones. So having it on when you're in that space, turning it off when you're not in that space, and then closing the door between the spaces so that it just works much more efficiently. Zonal heaters also have thermostats. Those, the numbers might have worn off long ago, but that is not just an on-off button. It is a thermostat. And so cranking this all the way up, I learned this when I moved to the Northwest, was like, I thought that would heat me up faster. It does not. And if you forget, it will never turn off because it probably will never get to 80 degrees in your room. So just turning these on barely will, give you the heat. It'll turn off on its own. It's a much more efficient way to use your zonal heaters. You can also clean your zonal heaters, which is good for safety, so there's not hair and dust buildup. A lot of folks use portable space heaters. These are really great. I am not an expert on like which ones are more efficient. I think there are some Energy Star rated portable space heaters. There's also propane ones. So I don't know all of the nuances there, but I do know for sure you want to plug these into the wall if they're electric. Do not plug these into a power strip or even really an extension cord, just because they could fry those and then start a fire. So portable space heaters are great, but you just want to use them safely. And usually they have instructions on best practices on there. For your water heater, like I said, you can do a one-time fix on your water heater. Just change the temperature down to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. For electric, gas, tankless, if you have that, that will just save you money and will give you hot water that you need. You don't need 140-degree water. That costs you more, and it can actually cause scalding. You know, if you have kids or seniors in the home, it can burn their hands. So that's why we talk about water heaters. The best way to just check the temperature is honestly just turn on the hot water, wait for a few minutes, use a meat thermometer or a water temperature card. It'll just pop the temperature up there. If you have an electric water heater, you want to turn off your breaker before adjusting the temperature, and then use a screwdriver. Gas water heaters are much easier. You just turn the knob, and then you would wait for about an hour to 2 hours for the water to reset, and then you could test it again. We also give out pipe insulation foam to insulate cold and hot water pipes. It's good for hot water pipes to keep the heat inside the pipe, much more efficient that way. And then for cold water pipes, especially if your water heater is in the garage, insulating the cold water pipes is a good safety measure. We also give out water conservation devices. I didn't know if I was going to use my props, but I guess I will here. So this is a little more exciting. See what other props are coming down the road. You know, low flow shower, faucet, kitchen aerators, reduce water use, which ends up reducing your bill because you're not paying for as much hot water. You're doing good for the environment, conserving water, reduces humidity, and then you know, turning off the water when you're not using it is just some great strategies for water conservation. We give out power strips. They're not like the most, you know, high tech. There are like smart power strips out there. We used to give some of those out, but a lot of people are saying they were kind of confusing, which is totally understandable. So a simple power strip is just as effective because, and a lot of folks don't know that, vampire energy, phantom power, all these words for the idea that things that are plugged into the wall are still consuming electricity even when they're off. So about 10 to 15% of your bill every single month are things that are just plugged in that are not even on. These are a couple of the culprits, right? Phone chargers, electronics, maybe microwaves, lamps. So just plugging it into a power strip and hitting a button instead of unplugging stuff is probably better on your time. I don't walk around my apartment unplugging things. So I wouldn't tell you to do that. I just use a power strip. Of course, you're never going to unplug your refrigerator. A person did ask me a great question earlier about unplugging your oven when you're not using it. And I have not had time. This was like yesterday. They asked me that. I have not time to do that research. Maybe someone can help me out later. LED lights, we give out 3 of these. Everyone knows how amazing LED lights are. Cheaper, last years longer. I just talked about the kitchen, kind of the oven uses the most electricity in your kitchen. If it's gas, then it can be causing some air pollution from the methane that's coming off of it, which we've been hearing a lot about recently. But the point of this slide is to show that crock pots, toaster ovens, microwaves, air fryers, which I know are the big thing now, use a lot less electricity than an oven. So things about, you know, what appliances are you using? Always shut it off at night. Does that use a lot of power? My internet? No, I don't. That's a good question about the modem. Yeah, I would leave that on all the time. I'm not sure how much they use. Maybe there's Energy Star modems, but you know, I would recommend keeping your internet on. Yeah, you know, your refrigerator, keeping that plugged in. Fridge 38 and 0, or 38 to 40 and 0 is kind of what manufacturers recommend, so that the fridge is, you know, extends the life, so you don't have to replace your fridge if it's working too hard or, you know, set at the wrong temperature. For washers and dryers, dishes, like there's just a big movement to wash clothes with cold water washes. I do that. I think it's great. You're not using hot water. I think what I've heard is that the only thing you really need to clean with hot water, like diapers or something that's really dirty. Everything else, you know, can be cleaned with cold water. Dryers, this is very important. This picture here of the vent being clogged, this is very real. I was talking to someone in one of my classes at a school the other day, and a parent was like, yeah, my dryer caught on fire because we moved into a house and we didn't check the vent. So this is real stuff that this can, you know, be dangerous to not clean out. You also want it to make sure that the vent is actually exhausting outside, so that extra moisture is not coming into the home and causing potentially humidity or mold. All right, I hope I'm doing good on time here. 25. Just a few more minutes, folks. I want to just talk about weatherizing like the doors and the windows and cracks and gaps in the home, because I did see a couple of questions there in the chat, which were really good. So, like I said, we give out these materials. If anyone here lives in Portland, anyone here, you know, is income qualified, which is based on the area median income, which is household size and income, reach out to us. I will post my contact information in the chat. You can, you know, we are here every single day over the winter, providing classes in the community, totally free, open to the public, where you can attend and get one of these take-home kits with all the materials that I'm talking about today, and connection to our other free programs for folks that are income qualified. If you're not, you know, you have to go to the store because I can't ship these across the country. I'm sorry. Okay. So, common interior air leaks. This is one of my favorite pictures on our presentation, because it just really helps conceptualize the idea of why we're doing what we're doing, and why weatherization and insulation and draft stopping, all these words that kind of mean the same thing of, you know, just keeping yourself comfortable in your home, reducing your bills. You know, this is what I think, this is the start of the future of, you know, efficient homes. Zero homes are just homes that are really keeping the air inside their home, the hot air that they're paying for inside their home, for as long as possible, and not letting air seep out through all of these places. That's what this error is showing, is that cracks and gaps are causing leaks in your home or your apartment. And that's what's really, you know, causing discomfort and causing higher bills, especially in the winter. In the summer, you just, you know, if hot air is coming inside your apartment or your home, that just makes you uncomfortable, miserable. And all of these strategies kind of work in the summer as well. But this is another way of showing that. Common places for air leaks, right, are outlets, ducts, plumbing, windows, doors, fans, vents, fireplaces, connections between ceilings or walls and floors, all of these spots. And to check for air leaks, you can use incense or candles. I've seen like a bunch of, you know, I know maybe not everyone feels comfortable doing that, but, you know, in my apartment, just doing an incense and seeing the smoke being sucked out, you know, through my door or through my baseboards. That's a very common way of checking air leaks. You can also just wet your hands, and if you feel cold air, or you might not even need to do that. You might just be able to see it happening. If there's light coming in through it, there's probably air coming in. Backer rod is a great thing to use. It's a squishy foam. Everything we give you is plastic and foam. I know that's not great for us environmentalists out here who want to, you know, are anti-plastic, which I totally agree with that. Plastic and foam are bad, but I've just talked to a lot of families that like to use fabric or towels to like plug holes and gaps in their homes or apartments, and that can just absorb a lot of moisture and potentially cause more mold, and then affect the air quality. As we know, mold is just not good to breathe in. So unfortunately, you know, a lot of weatherization materials are going to be plastic and foam. For your fireplace, there's DIY stuff. You can buy foam board, or you can buy these dampeners. We don't give these out, but you can find those that can really plug the fireplace or the chimney. We do give out a bunch of these super cool outlet gaskets. See, my props are coming in handy. I knew this would happen. I knew I was going to count on these. For outlets and switches, it's best to put these on your exterior walls, where there's a lot more, especially if your wall is not, you know, your wall is not insulated, or the insulation is not working very well. Right behind the faceplate. This was under my bathroom sink. I didn't realize that there was this gigantic hole between my plumbing and the drywall. So we try to give out a bunch of materials like rope caulk. See, I have another. It's kind of this just, it's like temporary caulking, but it's very similar to caulk, that it just, you know, form fits, you squish it in there. This was under my baseboard, or this was my baseboard here. There was air coming in through this crack along the floor. So this is great stuff. I recommend using it, and it's fun for people who don't really know much about contract work like myself. So I was like, oh, I can do some of this stuff. So very empowering to take control of your home and your comfort and your bills by a couple of simple steps. So I just want to talk about windows and doors, and then I'll pass it on to Shanika and the rest of the folks here. This picture is showing heat loss through windows and doors. So there's heat inside the home. This, heat radar sensor was looking at those vulnerable places in the house, which are windows for sure and doors, and you can see heat moving out through these spaces. Afterwards, after the window is insulated, right, this green, that means there's no more heat transfer. And that's what we're trying to do with all of our windows and doors, is to keep the heat inside the home, especially in the winter. Yes, what we give folks is plastic that covers the window, as you can see here. Unfortunately for the cat, they're realizing that they can't leave now. I'm kidding. The cat, we tell, of course you can take it off after the winter, but these are all indoor tools that we provide for folks. You just need scissors and tape measure to put this stuff on. This hair dryer I can talk about in a moment here, but we get these window insulation kits from Frost King. They're like some of the best in the business. They've been around for a long time in weatherization materials. You've probably heard of them. I saw some people asking in the chat, like, what are the best door and window insulation materials that can stick on for a while? I absolutely recommend like Frost King materials, but there's others out there. At least for this window insulation stuff, you want to clean and dry your windows so that the tape, the double-sided tape that's in here, which is really strong, can just get a nice setting around the window. There's about 84 feet of this, and then there's about 12 feet of plastic. So you cut it into a couple pieces. You can do 3 or 4 windows. The double-sided tape goes on first. I hope I'm not going too fast. I just don't want to take too long. Then you measure out the plastic. You peel off the second side of the tape that you would put around the window. I know a lot of people ask me, like, what do you do with your blinds and stuff? You can cut a little hole for the blind string, or you can just, like, if you have more windows, maybe one window you just leave open or leave closed for the winter. I know I don't want to offend anyone with the like what to do with your blinds, but there's a couple of different strategies so that you can still use your window and still but still stay warm. So then once you take off the second side of the plastic, this is me putting this on my apartment, right? It's best to start at the top and then let the plastic kind of fall down and then press it on the tape there. It doesn't need to be super tight, because the most important thing that's happening here, it's actually not that the plastic is insulating your home. It's a thin plastic that wouldn't do much. That's what your walls and other stuff are for. The plastic creates an air barrier between the glass on your window and the plastic. So this pocket of air acts as an air barrier, an insulation barrier, so that more air from outside specifically doesn't then move through that. So that air barrier, that pocket of air, is actually what's insulating your home. And it's really, really effective. So, when you put this up, you might be sitting there like, how is this going to work? It's a really great DIY strategy. This is where the hairdryer comes in. You can see there's instructions on the stuff that we give, or when you buy it, or you can find YouTube videos, but folks like to this. You don't need this to make it work, but they like to flatten out the plastic with the hair dryer. Up to you. And then there's extra plastic hanging off. You can just cut that off. I want to talk about doors, and then I'm going to hand it off. If you've ever seen light coming around your door or your windows, or your frame, the frame, there's probably air coming in, maybe some bugs. Sorry to break the news. That's why we give you a couple materials: foam tape, V-seal. And then for folks that were asking in the chat, like, what's the really more temporary stuff? We used to, or actually the folks that go into homes from our organization for free, they usually do stuff that you nail into the door jamb. Like, you know, there's a metal frame that is extendable to the size of the door, and then you nail that in, and then there's like a foam that is attached to that metal insert. Those are very, very good and can stay up for years. This is the stuff that we give out is very renter friendly, but the adhesive is very strong. So I put this on in the summer. As you can see, it's really sunny outside. This is around my door. I put this foam tape, close the door overnight. And, you know, that was 6 months ago. And now I come in and out of my door, and this stuff is, you know, squished on there, and there's no more light coming in. VCL 2, I put this on the inside where the door was closing, just because there was a space there as well. It's just, and it's all staying up there. Same thing with the door sweep, that there was a, you know, a crack under my door. And under most doors, probably, you can put a door sweep on there. A lot of folk, you might need to use a threshold. This is on the right. If your door is still too high, or the door sweep doesn't reach all the way down to the floor. But you definitely don't want to install the door sweep too low, and it'll just break as it's dragging along the floor. Okay, we're almost all the way around the circle. Very, very, very good. Okay, preventing mold. And then we're going to be done here. So thanks all again for paying attention, asking questions. We'll try to maybe address those in the rest of the chat at the end. But awesome. So there's a lot of sources of excess humidity in the home: kitchens, bathrooms, plants, pets, maybe, like a lot of people walking around. If you don't have bathroom vents, stuff. So mold just grows with moisture. That's the only thing you can really control. Other stuff like oxygen, temperature, like, is kind of hard to control. So moisture is the key to controlling mold. The thing about weatherization, this does not always happen, but something to think about is that weatherization could possibly make more moisture in the home, because you're sealing up the home, you're closing all these gaps, you're stopping this extra airflow. That natural ventilation of air was probably drying moisture. So the one pro of all this cold air flowing into your home in the winter is that it's drying moisture. But I don't think that's a good, you know, argument for not weatherizing your home. I would just say, you know, it's good to clean mold. If you see it with vinegar or hydrogen peroxide, definitely want to wear a mask, so that as you're disturbing the mold, you're not breathing that air in. You know, if you have bathroom vents or fans, it's good to use your bathroom vent for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes after you finish a shower, especially in the winter, because all that steam is being created. Yep. So trying to control the humidity using your vents and stuff like that. There's a good toilet paper test to see if your vent is even working when you turn it on. Covering lids if you know, are cooking. Standing water, leaking water can cause mold. So make sure you know, if you see any leaking water, that's want to get that fixed as soon as possible. If you're a renter, maintenance will probably have to do that. If you're a homeowner, you'd probably have to get some help, or do it yourself, DIY. We do install moisture barriers in homes here in Portland, because this is a great protection for the home. So especially if you're in your crawl space, there's just open soil. So that's what a moisture barrier is. For insulated, you know, a lot of folks winterize their spigots and stuff like that before the winter. This is great. And then yeah, pipes in your crawl space. Like I said, if your water heater's in your garage, you know, where it's exposed to the, you know, really low temperatures, you want to do some weatherization or winterization there. And then a lot of folks don't check their downspouts, and that water might be coming back into the home. So good downspouts is what I might have to end on. No, I'm kidding. What I'm ending on is this, you know, image and why we do what we do, because we just try to give folks who might not have, you know, who might not have much, you know, spent extra income. We give them a bunch of free things and a bunch of free programs to really do great work in their homes, and empower them to sign up for programs and save money and stay comfortable. So I'm going to end there. Thank you so much, y'all, for the time and for the questions. I hope this was helpful, and I will obviously stick around for the Q&A.
Zach, that is so great. Thank you so much.